So we're back here on the Duncan Duo Show, and we're going to roll next into, so we have Bob Henriquez with Hillsborough County Property Appraisers Office, and Mike Yates with Atlantic Bay Mortgage, and Al Noto from the Hillsborough County Property Appraisers Office as well.
Yeah, Al needs to chime in here some point.
Yeah.
Very quiet.
I thought he was
I
sleeping.
guess because the boss is here.
Al's over there on his cell phone. I think he's handling all the disputes today. He's doing value assessments over here. He's hammering out some stuff on email. He's just basically waiting for you to screw up, Bob, and then he's going to pipe in and be like, "You're wrong, Bob." And he stays quiet. But he's like my wife. My wife sits in the corner of the room and is quiet as a mouse, but the minute you say something wrong, she'll step in and correct you immediately. But she won't talk the whole time. She'll talk for 30 seconds, but it'll be a very powerful 30 seconds.
That is their role as a guy.
Yeah. So Bob, we were talking about, so let's say someone gets their assessment and they disagree with it, or not necessarily disagree with it, because I mean, probably everybody wants to disagree with it,
Sure.
but they have a valid reason for disagreeing with it. Like maybe there is, a miscalculation. What's the process to go through to challenge that, and what's the information you guys want to see that you're going to consider valid for them, disputing an assessment?
Well, first, let me just, from a philosophical standpoint, we want folks to take a good critical look at their assessments. That's important. I mean, your home there's nothing. There are very few things in your life more important than your home or your property, obviously. So, than loved ones and what have you. But so we don't have a problem at all with that. And understand that values change throughout the year, and our website is sort of those values are reflected. Now, they're somewhat finalized somewhere around the June, July period of time that people can. When you look at that, you're pretty much. The numbers that are going to come out on your trim notice in September are going to be pretty close to that. But really, the process all kind of gets started in September when your trim notice comes out.
Yeah.
And when you receive that notice, now it's so funny because when I'm out speaking to people and I'll say how many received a trim notice, people remember receiving it, and I say, well, how many read it? And they say, very few have read it because at the top it says this is not a bill.
Forget it, Dave.
That's right. That's Greek for I don't need to read this stuff.
Yeah.
But the truth is that everything that kind of goes into the soup that ends up being your ad valorem taxes are on that piece of paper, so it's important. From that point of time, the clock starts ticking. You have 25 days to officially, disagree with our assessments, or perhaps an exemption that you felt like you were entitled to that you didn't receive. So that's a very important period of time. Now, from an administrative standpoint, we want folks to come and sit down with us, whatever it may be, so we can go over it. But that period of time in 25 days in terms of the Value Adjustment Board, for them to actually file is during that period of time. And then from there, we're going to take a second look at the properties as we receive those issues, the people that send or that file for Value Adjustment Board hearings. If possible, we're going to try to, and we do, the vast majority of them, we solve those problems. Up to 75% of the Value Adjustment Board petitions are withdrawn. People are usually, they feel like they've
gotten something fair.
They've got something fair. And then, the Value Adjustment Board process then goes on. We're just now finishing it up as we speak here in February.
The other question I have is, so if someone is going through that process, so obviously, let's say they bought a home in 2016, what are the comparables or the data that they should, because obviously prices change, they go up, they go down. If somebody bought a home in June and they want to show you comps from May, if I remember correctly, having talked to customers that have gone through the process, the comps or the data needed to be from a year ago. Is that right?
Right. Remember that January 1st is the magic date for us. Yeah. So we're looking at information from the previous year. So if you receive a tax bill for 2016, trim notice 2016, we're using 2015 data. Now, the law does allow us to a limited extent, in terms of looking at trends and other things, to look at some information that's come, that's more current. But the assessment is based on previous sales. If we're talking about single-family homes, largely it's the sales comparison approach, so we're using sales. Again, in a much larger universe in mass appraisal versus fee appraisal.
Correct.
So that's the difference too. You may have bought the home and you have an appraisal based on a fee appraiser came in. They looked at 3 similar homes in the neighborhood.
And yours was better, condition,
whatever it may be. We're using a much larger universe, so the numbers don't necessarily. There's not a 1-to-1 correlation there. Now, once we get into the value adjustment board process, then we're doing literally a fee appraisal on an individual home from our office.
Awesome. And so, you know, Mike, I think, you know, one more thing before the break, just to kind of touch on, you know, the same topic. You know, when the property taxes come in, and they come in at a different number than a lender uses, because lenders and title companies use an estimate sometimes,
Right.
because they're using a prior tax bill to determine escrows. What ends up happening, should that bill come low or high to the escrow account situation for somebody?
If the bill comes in higher, for instance, and there's not enough money in your escrow reserve account, you know, your lender will go ahead and pay that bill for you, but then you're what they call escrow short. So that money has to be made up essentially. And lenders usually give you several different options to do that. One, you can do a lump sum payment to cover the difference, you know, and then your escrow account payment will adjust to cover what the new taxes are. Or they will just roll it in and make it up over a certain period of time. So either way, your payment's going to get adjusted. So it's typically two options: pay the lump sum difference, or they'll roll it over into your mortgage.
And that's something we deal with a lot on both insurance and taxes.
Right.
The insurance or taxes go up and somebody's payment goes up, and of course they're calling us and fretting, but that's really the explanation.
Yeah,
most
I'll
of the
tell you,
time
I was short this year, so I raised taxes on myself.
I love it.
So it wasn't a great deal, but yeah, so we had the option. It was you know, it was in the neighborhood of
Yeah.
a couple $100.
Right.
So we could either pay it one lump sum, or they just sort of add the extra $10 a month to
Exactly.
the next year.
Awesome.
Exactly.
We're going to be back after a quick break. We're going to talk with Rick Bechtold from Renters Warehouse. He's waiting patiently online. We're going to talk about investment properties, rental properties, and taxes, and some of the exemptions related to investment properties after a quick break here on the Duncan Duo Show.